I can understand that sometimes the design solutions can be subjective. What I might like, might not be.
Hi Aditi, welcome to the education.
Hi Tej, how are you doing?
All good, Aditi. So, how was your day so far?
Pretty good. I had idli for breakfast, and that's one of my favorite breakfasts. So it was good.
That's great, Aditi. So, if you could give a brief about yourself to our audience out there.
Sure. So I am a 2021 graduate from National Institute of Fashion Technology, and I also hold a dual degree from Fashion Institute of Technology, New York City, where I majored in communication design, and I'm currently working as a UX designer at IBM for their AI applications.
So, Aditi, what was your journey into design and how did you choose this field?
Okay, so when I started off by with design, I didn't know much about it, to be very honest, because the fields that I was introduced to were not creative, so more into technical sides like mathematics or engineering. But it was actually my father who introduced me to it, and growing up, I've noticed unconsciously that my family actually belongs to the people of artists. So we used to make Ganpati murtis and stuff like that. So I was always surrounded by designs. And one of my family also makes clothes for Tirupati God as well. So these small things I didn't realize that I would notice, but when I was actually introduced to the course, when I actually saw the curriculum on the websites, on the design school websites as well, that's when I realized that this is something that I'm interested in, because I felt like this is a perfect blend of creativity and with technology, right? So hence I thought of getting into this and exploring more. And yeah, that's pretty much my journey. And I was actually a science student till 12th standard, like hardcore. I was in ISC, we had physics, computer science, and yeah, it was a very different journey. And even now, like, there are very few design colleges, right? So the exposure was relatively less, but I'm so glad, like, people like you as well, we're talking so much about design, and now it's so good that the industry is blooming as well.
That's wonderful, Aditi. So, if you could throw us some light on your journey in NIFT and how was it so far? Like you just graduated last year. So, if you could just take us through your journey in the college.
Sure. So the journey at NIFT was very exciting because we got different pathways. So after 12th, the good thing about the curriculum at NIFT is that, especially for communication design, is that we get so many different pathways. At the end of the year, the academic batch itself, we get to know what we're interested in. So I could give you an example or like a quick brief of what the syllabus looks like. So with the advancement of curriculum, they actually keep changing the curriculum after every 4 years. So with my batch, we actually had the option of choosing like different pathways. So we had two different deepening specializations, as they say. One was more inclined towards fashion media, and the other one was visual communication. And so fashion media has courses related to trend forecasting, advertising, copywriting, etc. Whereas visual communication has more core subjects related to UX, augmented reality, virtual reality, design thinking, design methodology courses, basically. And then it's such a good thing that the student is actually able to select out of those two. And then I went ahead and chose visual communication because that's where I felt like my interest lies in. And then we had core subjects like we had photography, we had motion graphics, we had UX, we had courses related to design methodology, and we had photography as well. So basically, as the name says, communication design is something that helps us communicate about what the product is, right? So we used to collaborate with students from different batches as well. And let's say someone is in fashion design, so we as photographers would actually capture their whole garment and then make sure how we could communicate it to the audience using various medias. Like we had graphic designing, so how could we actually communicate it and make sure that the audience reaches out to the product itself. So that was one good thing that actually made me actually explore different pathways, that eventually made me realize where my interest lies in, which is in UX design. So I realized that I was always interested into research, right? So research and visual design, and I felt like UX is the perfect blend of it. And also, like, there are so many different pathways as well when it comes to UX. And I myself consider myself as a T-shaped designer. So my vertically, I tend to specialize in UX design, but horizontally, of course, there's visual designing, there's graphic designing, there's research, there's design thinking. So yeah, that's pretty much my journey. And apart from academics, I made sure that I was also active in different clubs, because NIFT has different clubs, there are different societies. So I was also the literary secretary of one of the clubs as well, which actually made me more curious about how the extracurricular works, because it's not just the academics that I really wanted to focus in. So which is where I was always interested in organizing such events, being part of it, and making sure that there's something going on, because design students, we actually need to communicate so much, we need to brainstorm ideas. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to design. So I think that is where I was related to as well. And also for my side projects, now that there are so many UX volunteering organizations as well, I was a part of few, and then made sure that I was a part of the side projects, because we as designers have a great impact on the society, on the kinds of develop. So I was a part of the autism project for one of the organizations where I was volunteering. So it actually helped me develop my portfolio as well, because in my portfolio then I'm not just talking about the work that I did academically, but also outside of work as well. And then in my third year, I actually got selected for a dual degree where I studied at FIT in New York City for a year. So how it works is basically during my second year, the students actually go through a rigorous selection process, and this is centralized. So the students are actually given certain tasks. There's portfolio round. There's the first round, which is basically it shortlists you on the basis of your CGPA, your attendance, your marks, etc. And then once you get there, there's another round which is more about portfolio, your industry experience, or like understanding if you know industry that well. Basically questions to that. There's a theory paper related to it, and after which there are few students that get selected, and then from NIFT there's another selection process for FIT which goes on. So the program actually is an initiative so that the student actually gets the best of both sides. So I could have an experience here in India as well, and then in New York City as well. And after getting selected by FIT as well, for my third year, I did my entire third year at FIT, and then I had to come back for my final year here. So the dual degree was a very interesting experience, because the college is actually in the heart of the New York City, like Times Square is right next to it. So, and there are so many different ad agencies out there. We got to visit some of the great advertising agencies for our class visit as well. And the best part is the exposure, definitely. So we have students from all across the globe, right? And it's so interesting to see how different students actually come up with so many different ideas for the same brief. So let's say it's something related to packaging or like advertising, and we've been given a brief, and there are students from different parts of the world. There's someone from Korea, from China, me from India. And it's so interesting because all of them bring their own aesthetic to the picture, and then the product is being developed. And then when we actually sit together, and that's how our classes went, right? Like the juries as well, as we used to critique each other's work, which is so important for designers, because we are actually understanding how others think. It's not just us. So just understanding how they're also bringing in their aesthetic from their culture and then implementing it to their product is just so much interesting to learn. And also because in the West there are so many different clubs, and there are so many organizations that keep happening. So I got to volunteer at the New York Fashion Week. So even though I'm into UX, but just being part of such a grand event and volunteering there, it's such a great responsibility, because you're greeting people, you're handling the production, and everything is so fast there. So just understanding how the production works itself is a great honor. And then talking to guests like Sabissachi or Christian Louboutin, it's an honor in itself. And understanding how their mind works and how they actually come up with the product, because in the end it's design as well. And that's something that I got to learn so much there. And yeah, and that's something that I'm really thankful for.
Thanks, Aditi. It was a wonderful journey. Like, got to know a lot of different things that you have done to create an impact for the society. So, wanted to understand like whether this communication design course is available across all the NIFTs that are there in India, or is it only for the few limited colleges of NIFT?
Right. Yes. So NIFT currently has different centers across the country, and each campus has their own number of departments. But majority of the colleges do have communication design in them.
Thanks, Aditya. And also, is there like every college has this dual degree facility as well, wherein people can opt and go for FIT and institutes like that?
Yes. So the FIT program is a centralized base for their undergraduation program. Can apply for it.
Okay, great. So let's talk about few process, like why did you apply for NIFT when there's also NID with same communication design, and what are the advantages or disadvantages that you have personally seen?
So the one advantage that I felt with NIFT is that I actually got different pathways because, like I said, design was still new to me, and after 12th, I still had no clear idea about it. So the one benefit of doing it from NIFT is that I got to learn different pathways. So I also developed my portfolio because of that. So I think that was one benefit because I had graphic designing, I had advertising, I had packaging, photography, visual merchandising, everything. So there's such a wide spectrum of learning, which is where I think NIFT helped me a lot. And also, NIFT also has various programs within the undergraduation itself. So there's graduation project where in the end of our academic undergraduation, for 6 months, we're supposed to intern at an agency or a studio of the student's choice. And then for 6 months, we're supposed to work on a project. And then by the end of it, we're supposed to submit it with the jury. So I think that, and also during our academic courses as well, so we actually get an opportunity to be a part of the industry and then intern at places wherein we and through college as well, we get mentors at college, so they also help us and guide us in actually understanding how the industry works and how we're supposed to document the whole process, and so that we can actually present it in front of the jury.
That's great, Aditi. So wanted to know your opinion on how was the faculty and the resources that you have got from the NIFT. What's your opinion on that?
Okay, so there were three kinds of faculties that I faced with. So one is the permanent faculty who will be there with you throughout the undergraduation during the tenure of college. And second are called ICTs, inter-center faculties, wherein faculties from different NIFT centers can come. They'll come and teach you. And then the third is guest faculties, wherein industry people will come and then they will teach you for that specific course. And that I think is also a wide understanding of how it works because it's a two-way process, right? Learning is a two-way process. So let's say someone from the permanent faculty has a completely different experience than someone who's actually coming from the industry, and that is something that is actually very helpful for design students, because when we're actually understanding, we get so many different perspectives on the same thing. And because we have core subjects, let's say for design thinking, there was one semester where the design thinking course was taught by the permanent faculty or the ICT, and then there was another who was from the industry experienced faculty as well. And in that way we actually get to know the best of both worlds, because the industry faculty is also teaching us what's going on currently in the industry, what the industry standards are, and how we're supposed to communicate to that. And that actually helped me a lot during my internship.
That's great, Aditi. So let's talk about internship and campus placement, which a lot of our viewers ask for. So what was your experience with getting an internship opportunity or a campus placement right from the college?
Okay, so I start with internships. So I started off my internships during my second year itself. The second year is actually not mandatory, but I did it because for learning purposes. But from third year, the college actually gives us resources. That's where I think it comes in handy. They have, because NIFT has such a strong alumni connection, and they have so many. It's been running through years, right? And there are so many people in the industry already, be it in the fashion world or in the tech world, if anyone's interested. So we actually get their contacts because of the alumni connections, and then through those we actually were able to connect with the industry people, and then ask for internship opportunities. And talking about campus placements, I was a little skeptical because of how the pandemic happened, and then lost many of them actually lost on opportunities as well, which is really unfortunate. And I don't think I'd like to blame anyone for that. But I think during my year, I was fortunate enough that I actually got placed at some of the companies as well through campus placements. So that is very beneficial, because there are companies that are coming in from the fashion world or from the tech world, and then whatever the students interest lies in can apply, and then get forward with it. And the best thing about campus placements is that everything is centralized. So no matter which campus you belong to, you can still apply. And then depending on merit, of course, then you can go ahead with it.
So Aditi, what was your experience working or, collaborating with different students out there in FIT? And were you there present at the college?
Yes, luckily for my batch, I was there for the first half of the semester at least, and then after the second half, like after a month or so, is when the pandemic happened. So that was a learning experience in itself because New York City was hit the worst as well. The numbers were crazy then, but yes. So the good thing is that the faculty and the student relationship there is different than what it is in India, because the faculty is actually guiding us and also helping us in the sense that they won't spoon feed everything, you know. They'll make sure that we get the ideas by ourselves, and then we're thinking and brainstorming. And it's because it's so collaborative. And because even when we are getting feedback, let's say I'm presenting my work, and I've made something and I'm presenting it in front of 30 students, and then there's the faculty as well. The good thing is that the faculty will not impose their feedback directly, but also because they're observing what the other students are saying too. Because it's a class of 30, there are students with different opinions. Because I can understand that sometimes the design solutions can be subjective. What I might like, might not be intestable for other students as well. So that's something where I felt like that was a pretty different experience. And I would specifically like to mention Professor Caroline Harvey and Professor Carrie. She was so good to me, and I think she definitely brought out the creativity out of me. And there are small hidden elements in design which may not be explainable directly, and something like negative space as well, but she actually made sure to observe what I'm doing. And I think it's so important to have such great professors in your life, because they are something that motivates me and makes me feel confident about my work. Because design juries can be harsh, and trust me when I say this, because I'm Aditi in India, I'm roll number 1 always, and I used to go first in the juries. That's when all the juries are so fresh, and then stuff can go down, or stuff can go good as well, which is, I mean, it's unpredictable. But yeah, I think but professors like these actually bring out the best in me, and then make sure that I'm actually confident about my work, even though there are people who are saying that it won't work. But yeah, that's one key that was taught to me.
That's wonderful, Aditi. So let's talk about how does all this experience has helped you currently to work in the industry, and was it relatable that what you are doing now is something that's been taught in the design school?
Yes. So the good thing is that we had faculties from the industry. So we actually had them understand and explain what the industry guidelines are, which is when also because of the internships that I did, and also volunteer at different organizations, actually made me realize the importance of having a work ethic, and understanding how sincere I need to be at work. Because we're not just creating something that's something that's going to be used by thousands of users. And because I'm at IBM currently, the kind of products that we're developing will be used by a larger audience. So I need to make sure that I'm right with the ethics and understanding how the design system actually works. So all of that definitely helped me during my undergraduation. Of course, there was internship, and also the 6-month graduation project was also very helpful. Because 6 months although I was an intern, but for such a long time I was almost able to understand how an agency works, and how an entire product actually develops from the beginning to the end. And then also in the end, I was required to document and submit it in front of the college jury as well. So I think that's where the experience actually helped me during my undergraduation, which is why my work at IBM also has been going so smooth. And yeah, and that was really great.
That's wonderful, Aditi, and thanks for sharing all these wonderful insights with us. So we are about to conclude our show. So wanted to know from you, how did design education has shaped you into a better designer?
So the 4-year design education journey actually helped me shape into a better designer, because I was actually introduced to so many different pathways, and I was working on such creative academic challenges as well, and different working on different products, and making sure that it's not just a product, but making sure that it can actually be used. And also the curriculum is being developed by such experienced people from the industry, and then there's experienced faculty as well who's involved. So those 4 years actually shaped me a lot, starting from the first year, where we were taught basic foundation skills like sketching, understanding human anatomy, understanding design principles, elements of design, and those are the basic basic core foundations. So I think from there I was actually shaped into a tree, because I got the opportunity to be a part of such different branches, and then eventually understand where, who and what I am, and what kind of industry that I want to get into. I think this is where the design education really helped me, and also being a part of such great industry internship experiences also was something that was really really helpful. And also getting insights from different students as well, because it's not just a one man project when it comes to design. I believe it's a teamwork. So even if it's a group project that we used to work on, there were ideas, different ideas from different people, different perspectives on the same kind of solution, which was so interesting, and that actually helped me develop my mindset as well.
Thank you so much, Aditi, for sharing all these great insights. And to the viewers out there, I'll be dropping Aditi's LinkedIn down below. You can reach out to her for any doubts in communication design. She'll be more than happy to help you guys out. So thanks for your time once again, Aditi.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really nice. Thank you.